Meanwhile, it's Startup Day across America, a national event spearheaded by two former small business owners turned congressmen to spotlight innovation and entrepreneurship around the country. They both join us now first on CNBC. On the phone, we have Colorado Democratic Congressman Polis, and we're also joined now by California Republican Darrell, Issa, chair of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Gentlemen, good to have you today.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us both on and covering this month-long tribute, if you will, to startups.
We're excited to see what you have in store. I'll start with Congressman Polis, who joins us on the phone. You started a company, sold it to Liberty Media about 10 years ago. I'm wondering what you thought was ripe in the environment then for entrepreneurs like yourself that is missing from today's dialogue.
One of the reasons that I put this together is to get over 30 members of Congress to visit startups in their district. Frankly, there's a lot more going on in the startup world. There's better mentor support networks. There's more accelerators and incubators. Really, when I was starting out in the mid-90s, it felt a little bit isolated and alone. There's a lot more established entrepreneurship ecosystems across our country today, and we want to raise awareness about them and help take them to the next level.
Congressman Issa, is this the beginning of something? I mean, it's hopeful seeing you guys get together like this. There's certainly lots of legislative things that you could do to help small business and startups. Is that coming next from you two?
Well, I think it will continue to come. Jared and I fought against legislation such as SOPA that we felt could really endanger the internet and the startup capability that is not just in Silicon Valley, but anywhere you have an internet connection. So do we want to continue to do it? Absolutely. And this month we're highlighting companies as diverse as 3D printing maker out of Brooklyn, or RejuvaHealth.com, a company started up by a woman who found herself with a blood clot and compression stockings that were ugly, and she decided to go on the internet and develop and market fashion-designed stockings. So the ability to do that anywhere in the world, in Jared's district, in my district, or quite frankly on the far reaches of the United States, is part of what we're wanting to promote and have members see in their own districts.
Congressman Polis, startups have garnered an increasing amount of attention. They're representative of many of the jobs that have been created in the last few years. We're seeing startups, if you could call it that, like Facebook going public with $100 billion valuations. These are an increasingly large part of the economy, but you have the Jobs Act. We have a lot of other policies around startups. I'm wondering what you hope to get out of today just from bringing more attention to this space.
Well, today's startup is tomorrow's great company, and you look at all the great companies of today, and they were all startups, whether it was 5 years ago or 40, 50 years ago, like Intel. Frankly, I've been very frustrated at the administration's implementation of the Jobs Act. We still don't have crowdfunding online more than almost 2 years after Congress passed the act, and we're working on efforts to make those simple regs get issued. Really, today and this month is a chance to highlight issues that surround startups. Unlike established businesses who have lobbying corps and are well represented in D.C., too often startups aren't at the dinner table. And of course, when you're not at the dinner table, you're often on the menu, and that's why Darrell and I are trying to make sure startups have a voice.
I'm wondering, in your own area, Congressman Polis, you've got marijuana startups cropping up, to use the term. How do you feel about that? I mean, obviously, Colorado is doing some things differently from the federal government, but does that count as entrepreneurship?
We just had a entrepreneurship roundtable at Innosphere here in Fort Collins this morning. One of the startup businesses was an industrial hemp company. We also have, as you know, marijuana dispensaries and product companies here in Colorado. It's certainly one of the new frontiers of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs always are going up against establishments and entrenched interests and trying to find new ways to be able to follow the law and be able to grow their businesses. And it's a particular challenge in the marijuana industry as we sort out the discrepancies between state and federal law. One of the biggest impediments being access to banking, which remains an impediment now that we've been working on clarifying.
I know you are both planning on drawing attention to and visiting some startups today. Congressman Issa, you are focused on MakerBot, a 3D printer that we've featured on this show many times. I'm wondering what about that company you think makes it unique and that you want to spotlight.
Well, I think it's more a matter of becoming a national or international entity, while still very small. I also mentioned one that's located in Irvine, California, Rejuva Health, because here's a company that is fairly new, only has 4 employees, probably less than $1 million, but it could be the next Spanx. They're producing an innovative group of products and a product born from a problem. Years ago, they never would have been able to start because without the direct access to the internet, their ability to get distribution in the compression stocking market probably would have been impossible. So when we try to look at these companies, we're looking at companies that can create products that meet wants and needs for the American people of the world that are now possible that wouldn't otherwise be possible. And what Jared and I both know is, and he said it very well, there is no lobby group for the micro startup. There is no lobby group for the new idea. If we cannot promote incubators and call attention to companies that may or may not grow to be very successful, then there is no lobby for them. And Jared's point on the Jobs Act is exactly right. This was bipartisan legislation that has not been fully implemented. Jared also alluded to choke point, the fact that banking capability for companies legal, at least in one state, are being withheld. All of these are areas in which Jared and I and others can work on a bipartisan basis.
Congressman, on this inaugural Day for Startups, we appreciate you both joining us today, and we will look forward to following your efforts in this space. You heard it here, folks. Rare congressional bipartisanship at work here on Squawk Alley. Congressman Jared Polis and Darrell Issa this morning.
Yeah, they're getting along very well. Coming up, this looks a lot